America, you've been warned. Hi, I'm David Reddish, and this is Occupy Democrats. Joe Scarborough woke up feeling a bit melancholy today, and who can blame him? With just 2 weeks left before Donald Trump returns to the White House, any rational person should feel on edge. For Scarborough, though, a conservative man who has long criticized Donald Trump, that anxiety offered a clear warning. Remember, Scarborough was the first person to call out Kellyanne Conway's use of alternative facts during the Trump administration. As we progress into 2025, it seems like alternative facts and diluted reality are all the rage. Taking stock of the economy, crime rates, and inflation rates, Scarborough's frustration came to a head during this morning's broadcast of his show, Morning Joe. In an interview with Peter Baker of the New York Times, Scarborough articulated his fears for the country in the wake of Donald Trump 2.0. Take a look.
He does leave the country in pretty good shape for the next president.
Well, I mean, you look at the numbers, Mike. I mean, just again, I'm not talking about where we are today, what people are thinking today, because the die is cast. I'm just saying we've all seen this. We know how history goes. 4 years from now, 8 years from now, 20 years from now, when people are looking back at this administration and they're going to say, wait, okay, so what happened in that election? Wait, you had jobs at near record lows? You had America's economy outpacing the rest of the world? You had crime at 50-year lows, violent crime at 50-year lows. Don't get mad at me for saying that, y'all. Get mad at the facts. If you don't like the facts, I mean, I can't help you. But crime's at 50-year lows. Violent crime is. Murders way down. Drug overdose deaths going down precipitously. I could go on and on and on. And Mike, my biggest point is Republicans, they need to be careful when they take control. They need to be careful because right now they have an economy that's the envy of the world. And when you're sitting with a lead like that, you don't want to move too fast. You don't want to take radical chances. I will just tell you as a conservative, and I hope there are still conservatives in the House of Representatives. As a conservative, I'm very concerned about the fact that we have a $36 trillion debt. Yeah. And Republicans are talking about blowing a hole wide open in that debt that will cause inflation to spike to numbers that we haven't seen since Paul Volcker was running the Fed and moved interest rates up to 21%. Because at some point, that debt bomb's going to go off. And at some point, the rest of the world's going to say, wait a second, you're $36 trillion in debt, and you're going to add $10 trillion more dollars to the debt? Like, those are the sort of things, and of course, most economists would also say tariffs, those are the sort of things that are going to cause this economy to move from being the strongest in the world to possibly struggling like the rest of the world. So I just hope that Republicans take care with what they're inheriting. They're never going to say Joe Biden's done a good job with the economy. But they know the numbers. They see the numbers. They know where Wall Street is. They know what happens if they screw this up and suddenly everybody's stocks start plummeting. Everybody's 401ks start going, through the floor. They need to be careful because, as Peter Baker reports in the New York Times this weekend, and we're talking to him in an hour, right now, the election's behind us. They won. But they got a set of facts that actually it's going to be incumbent on them to make sure they don't screw it up.
Well, Joe, you're right about everything, and Peter Baker is right about everything that he put in the paper. Facts do matter, and they matter to everyone's life in America. The other thing that matters is the Biden presidency initiated, passed, and sponsored and strengthened two enormous acts of legislation comparable to Lyndon Johnson's 1964 89th Congress progress that we made legislatively in the country at that time. But something has happened in the culture over the years, and America now is uniquely, I think, a nation of the moment. The fact that the Republican Party is being handed the strongest economy in the world, which it is, matters less than what happens in aisle 3 to the cost of eggs. In a moment, people can turn on a candidate that they voted for in 2024 or in 2020 and change their minds because of the gas prices, because of the cost of eggs. Everyone gets that. That's been politics for 100 years. There's no doubt about it. But Joe Biden can stand on his legislative record. The Republicans have that record now. They are standing on it in terms of the economy. As we've pointed out several times already today, the strongest economy in the world. If it slips, it's on them. And Gerald Baker in the Wall Street Journal had a pretty good piece today, which has to do with all of this. His advice, his New Year's resolutions for different political people and resolutions for himself. His New Year's resolution that he suggests that Donald Trump take is be a president for all the American people, not just, your friends. Don't go after your enemies. Be a president for all the American people. That's maybe the biggest question of all that we're going to face.
If Americans don't even care about facts anymore, what hope do any of us have? Gore Vidal said if everyone lies, there's no reality. That would go a long way to explaining Trump's victory in the 2024 election, despite a thriving economy and lower crime rates. Scarborough's most urgent warning concerns that economy. The Trump administration has promised new tariffs, while the Republican Party has promised major spending cuts. The last time an incoming president inherited an economy this good would have been in 2000, when Bill Clinton left George W. Bush a thriving economy and budget surplus. Bush squandered all of that within months with tax cuts, and later with 2 disastrous wars and an economic crash that wiped out the middle class. With Trump returning to office, what does history portend for us now? For Occupy Democrats, I'm David Reddish.